effects. I should say one of the, if you don't mind a little bragging, one of the peak moments of my life was part of this. After the Tet Offensive in January 1968, the Johnson administration realized they're going to have to wind down the war because actually, if you look at the last pages of the Pentagon Papers, it's kind of interesting. It ends at this period. The Johnson administration at first wanted to send more troops, but the Joint Chiefs were opposed. They said we'd need the troops for civil disorder control in the United States. Too much uprising.
I know a guy who wrote a book on that.
Pardon?
I know a guy who wrote a book on that.
Yeah, that's right. I don't tell you about it, but it was pretty interesting. So anyhow, you may recall they decided to make peace with the students, and they made a brilliant choice. They decided to send McGeorge Bundy. He was a former dean, so he'd know how to talk to students. Unbelievable. And they had a first try. They tried some very conservative Catholic school out in the Midwest, and he gave a talk there. And of course, everything went well. Nice article in the Times about how everybody's making peace. The second choice was MIT, which was not crazy from their point of view. It was a pretty conservative place. And the political science faculty, who you know, were in and out of the CIA, you know. So it was all set up for Bundy, big meeting at big auditorium, overflow audience at the Student Center, a panel from the political science department were going to welcome and question him, but all from what are called liberals, you know, the liberal hawks, very pro-war. In fact, they were all involved in sending students to Saigon to study counterinsurgency and things like this. So the radical students, the small group, made a big fuss, and they demanded that I be allowed to be on the panel for just 5 minutes, just brief comment. So they finally agreed, and it all went fine. Bundy gave his talk, the panel cheered him, and I got my 5 minutes, and I succeeded in being sufficiently obnoxious so that Bundy was infuriated. They practically had to drag him off the stage. And meanwhile, the students are watching this in the student center, and they were getting all excited. When he got over there, they were waving their fists in his hand, murderer and so on. That was the end of this peacemaking effort. But that's the kind of thing